8:06, and a brand new study says hearing aids may help slow cognitive decline for those with dementia. We already know that hearing loss is a big risk factor, indicating possibilities when it comes to risk factors for dementia. But this brand new study is really a big deal. Researchers say a group of older adults with hearing loss who were at higher risk for dementia saw cognitive decline cut in half after using hearing aids for 3 years. This morning, we have Kory with Beltone, Arizona, and Terry Spitz with the Alzheimer Association joining us to talk about the results of this really important study. Good morning to both of you. And Kory, I want to start with you since you're the hearing specialist. The study found some really interesting factors about access to sound and quality access to sound. It talked about how the brain has to work harder if we can't hear well, the structural impacts on the brain, and then also, too, we don't tend to be social, as social, I should say, if we don't have access to sound. So talk to me about how significant these findings are, especially you being the hearing specialist.
Right. So at Beltone, we see a lot of people who come in who have communication problems. And so our focus is on testing people's hearing to see if it's a problem with them not being able to pick up sound and receive that sound and send it to the brain. So it makes a lot of sense that people who have that kind of issue, that kind of goes hand in hand with hearing loss and cognitive decline, because if the brain isn't receiving that information, it's going to have to work harder. And at the same time, it could be somebody who's maybe coming in, we don't know what kind of problem they might have. So maybe it's hearing loss that is an issue for them. Maybe it's more Alzheimer's or other forms of dementia that they're having. So when we're seeing them, that's something that we are trying to determine. Yeah.
You know, Terry, you're with the Alzheimer's Association. I feel like there's still so much that we don't know about Alzheimer's and dementia. Talk to me about how significant this study is with regards to being one of the pieces of the puzzle.
Well, it's a very significant study because hearing loss is one of the largest single modifiable risk factors for cognitive decline. So looking at that piece, but just this part of research, our international research conference that happens every year is the single largest convener of Alzheimer's and dementia research. So having all of this in one room, so this is just one study that has come out of that, but just looking at Arizona having the fastest growth rate for this disease, there's so much hope out there. Every year we learn so much about what this disease looks like and some of the underlying things about it.
So Terry, let's talk a little bit more specifically about this study because I'm just, trying to reckon, is this a chicken or egg kind of situation? So if I feel like I'm at risk for dementia or Alzheimer's, should I be running out and getting hearing aids, or is it the other way around? Talk to me about, I guess what I want to say is I don't want to cause panic, but educate people.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that the Alzheimer's Association does is we provide a lot of education. So we have a special education called Know the 10 Signs, and it looks at what is the normal signs of aging and what is something you might need to be worried about. So that's a good first step.
Yeah.
Also, calling our helpline 800-272-3900 to ask questions. But one of the things that has come out of this study is if you're experiencing something, to let your doctor know. To get your hearing checked isn't a bad thing.
Yeah, speaking of which, Kory, I feel like sometimes there's a stigma with getting our hearing checked. I mean, we go to the dentist every year, we get our eyes checked every year. Talk to everybody at home about how often, number one, we should be getting checked, and then number two, for those maybe who can't afford hearing aids, there are other options like over-the-counter options, right?
That's right. So as far as how often to get your hearing checked, really it's anybody over the age of 50 should at least come in, have a hearing test done. That kind of sets a baseline for yourself. So if your hearing is changing over time, it's something that you can monitor, that change. And if you do have hearing loss, having it tested annually is the recommendation.
Okay.
And then as far as treatment goes on what's affordable and what's out there, OT OTC, over-the-counter devices have been out for a while now. It's a really great option for people who maybe aren't quite ready for that step, but they know they need some help, and that can provide some help for them. A lot of insurance now is starting to cover some form of the cost, some part of the cost for hearing aids as well.
Which is a major change.
Huge
As
change,
a mother of a hearing impaired child, I understand that. Both of you, thank you so much for coming in and talking with us about this important study. Thank you.
Thank you so much.